we just want you to think about what it's going to be like for mum after baby's born. So as I say, think about how physically she's going to be, yeah, how you think your body's going to change after baby's born, and how does that feel, and are you worried or anxious about anything? Also think about how you're going to be feeling emotionally, you know, are you going to be excited, are you going to be nervous, are you scared, anything at all, just pop it down. Also at the same time, look at them, you know, your sort of partner, the family, how it's going to impact on them when baby's born. Now, some of the things do cross over, so you can just put a little arrow if you think both of you are going to be feeling like this as well. And at the bottom, we've put, as you can see, the top 5 things that parents argue about. So, as you're having these discussions, you might be thinking to yourself, well, actually, you know, that's something that I think, you know, we may well not agree on. So, you know, pop them down as we go along and we'll sort of feedback about those at the end. And then also, we're going to look at the baby. So, at the moment, baby is inside, floating around, having a lovely time, not really have to think about too much at the moment. So, suddenly baby's going to be born. How does that feel for baby? So again, put all those things down in there. Myself and Joe will come around and give you some pointers, and then what we'll do is a bit of feedback, and we can sort of talk around some of those subjects as well. Okay? Should we start to do a bit of feedback? Right, there's some good conversations going on there, getting you thinking. So, what we'll do is we'll talk the feedback, start on mum, and we'll kind of go through the list, and then we'll see, you know, if you have the same things or not, and then, you know, we'll talk around some of those subjects. And again, you know, shout out if there's something you think about, you know, as we're going through. So, should we start over here? What have you got on the top of your list for mum?
No bump.
No bump. Yeah, so you got that, you had that, didn't you? No bump? No bump. So, how do you think that's going to feel?
Weird.
Empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might feel strange. I suppose for you guys at the moment, because you haven't got the baby in front of you, it's trying to imagine that, isn't it? So, yeah, don't worry. It would, you know, there will be so much to do. So, you know, you'll be kept occupied. Okay, so no bump, yeah, so you can actually maybe see your feet, paint your toenails again, those kind of things, fantastic. What else did you have?
No sleep.
No sleep.
We got tired,
Tired, yeah. So whose baby's going to sleep through the night when it comes home?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, let's get it out there. Babies do not sleep through the night, okay? And actually, if your baby was sleeping through the night when they first come home from hospital, I'd actually be concerned. Babies need to wake frequently for feeding, okay? Whether you decide to bottle feed or breastfeed, babies need to feed frequently. And actually, it's part of their sort of coping mechanism, and the way to protect them against sudden infant death is them actually waking up at night for feeds. So it's good that they wake up, okay? So yeah, they are going to be up quite a few times during the night as well. So if you are going to be feeling tired, as in no sleep, how do you think that can make you feel as well?
Grumpy.
Grumpy. Yeah, everyone gets a little bit grumpy when they're tired. I know I certainly do. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. So you'll be thinking, you know, you might be feeling a bit tired and grumpy. So how do you think you can manage being tired? Any thoughts around that?
Sleep and the baby sleeps.
Yeah, exactly. Sleep and the baby sleeps. And often people, you know, they're so worried about cleaning the house, tidying up, you know, and all that. Especially if the health visitors come in, they want to go around and quickly clean the house up. They think they're going to see what your house is like. We'd much rather that you were actually, you know, getting your sleep. Okay, that's really important. Okay, so during the day, even if you can't sleep, just put your feet up on the sofa, closing your eyes. You know, babies, you know, hopefully in the Moses basket maybe, having a little sleep. Then, you know, put your feet up on the sofa and just close your eyes for a little while. That at least will help to recharge you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Alright, so sleep deprived, what else have you got?
Boobs and body shape.
Right, so what did you mean by that?
When you breastfeed, men kind of think your boobs are going to be on the floor, but it's under
Okay.
So it makes me paranoid.
You're worried that, yeah, okay. And so any other body shape, or is it mostly the boobs?
And tummy.
Tummy. Yeah. So we're all going to get in our jeans straight away when we've delivered?
No.
Probably not. No, back into those tight trousers. No. I mean, even Kate Middleton, when she came out of hospital, there's that lovely picture of her coming out and she still, you know, shows her bump. You're right, you're not going to probably get back into, you know, your clothes. Some people do, don't get me wrong, some people do, but most of the time it does take time. If you're somebody who's into exercise and you're really keen about getting your body shape back, speak to your health visitor about how you want to get back into that. And that will depend on your delivery as well, on how quickly you can start to to exercise again. But if you're not sure, then just ask. Okay. So boobs, you're right. So a boob's going to be what? Bigger, bigger. And again, some people really enjoy having bigger boobs for that period of time. Even if you decide not to breastfeed, you will still, at some point have slightly bigger boobs. And also, if you do decide to breastfeed and you have the milk flowing, what can sometimes happen? Anybody else?
Leaky.
Leaking, yes, because breastfeeding actually works on hormones. And again, we're going to sort of touch on bits about breastfeeding through today and feeding in general. But there is an infant feeding session, so if any of you booked on that yet at all? No, again, you can book through the Flying Start website and they go into a lot more detail about feeding. But if you do have questions, do ask me and I'll try and answer them. But breastfeeding works on particularly a hormone called oxytocin, which is like the feel-good hormone. And what that does is sometimes if you release that, that's what lets the milk out. Yes, that's what lets milk down. So it could be that you're having a shower, you've just got out of the shower, and actually baby crying can even set that off as well. So you can get in change and suddenly you could be leaking with milk. So whoever's doing all your buying and things, breast pads if you're deciding to breastfeed. Okay, so that's good to have in your hospital bag as well. Okay. So boobs, what else did you have?
Postnatal depression.
And you've got baby blues on there as well. You had
emotional, nervous.
yeah. And did you have baby blues? Did you write baby blues? I know you said the words.
Yeah,
didn't
you
you?
say it.
So baby blues and postnatal depression, are they the same thing? What do we think? Any ideas? Anybody want to try and describe to me how they're different?
I think it's quite common to have baby blues to begin with, but postnatal depression's more severe, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, and same over here, same sort of thoughts. Yeah, you're pretty much right. So baby blues usually, not always, mostly happens around sort of day 3, 4. Would you say, Dawn, as well, 3 or 4? If you sort of
3 to 5.
Yeah, it can happen any time around then. Often when the milk is coming in as well. And you're just a little bit emotional. Sometimes it can be just overwhelming. Sometimes you can be just start crying, and it could be over something really, really silly. Something on the television, or just something just sparks you. Or even you could just be looking at your baby and just feeling absolute love, and you just start crying. Yeah, it's fine. It's normal. Don't be worried. But do talk to your midwife about how you're feeling, because it's really important that they know and they can just monitor that. Some women don't suffer any baby blues at all, they don't have that at all, and again, that's fine. Postnatal depression is more when it can start sort of after the baby's born, can start 2, 3, 4, 5 months later as well, so just being aware of that. And things you want to look out for is often partners will notice you're just not feeling yourself. You don't want to go out maybe. You're worrying about things all the time. You're very anxious about everything. Maybe you wake up at night worrying about things. What I would say is don't leave it. You can always contact either your health visitor again, go and see your GP, but talk to your partner about how you're feeling as well. And as we were mentioning over here, actually dads can get postnatal depression too. So you've got to really look out for each other. Okay. So yeah, it's something that you can come out to the children's centres. They're really good as well, because getting out and about is usually one of the most important things. The worst thing you can do is leave it and just keep thinking, well, this is it. This is what being a parent is all about, because there's lots of things, as I say, we can do to support you. Okay.
So it can feel quite overwhelming, can't it? And so sometimes some mums tend to sort of step back and regress a little bit and just stay at home, and so if you're feeling low, you do need to try and get out and about, and that helps relieve it.
Yeah, as I said, if you're struggling, then contact your health visitor. Has anyone got any questions around postnatal depression? Anything they want to ask at all? Also, if there's anything that you don't want to ask in front of anybody else, just catch me at the end, and you can always talk to me at the end about anything. Okay. Right. So moving on. What else have you got?
Hormones.
Okay. What about hormones?
Kind of like mood changing, up, down, happy, sad.
Yeah. And we said we're going to be tired as well, aren't we? We're going to be tired. So yeah, some people talk about hair falling out and all things like that as well, hormones. So lots of different things really. Did you guys have hormones? No, did you?
We've just got nervous, excited, emotional.
Yeah, sort of an emotional side of it. Okay. And then, what else have you got?
Finances.
Right. In what way? What? Going to have
Well,
loads more money?
Because he works and I'm a stay-at-home person,
Uh-huh.
how is he going to struggle?
Yeah. Anybody else had finance?
Yeah,
Yeah,
money worries.
Money worries? Who had it on the argument one as well? Top 10 things you're going to argue about? Yeah, had it about arguing as well. Yeah. Quite often, again, people think babies cost a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of the time they don't need a lot of these things. So you have to think very carefully about what it is you're buying. Remember, all these companies want your money. Yeah, so sometimes you can be spending a lot of money on things that you maybe don't need to. Okay. But yeah, again, some people are on maternity pay, so you might be not having as much income. So again, what could that cause between the two of you? Yeah, arguments, a bit of friction maybe. Okay, so how do you think, as you can see some of the bit of a theme here about between sort of partners, what might be happening after you've had the baby potentially? Some more, sort of feeling a little bit tired, and you might get a little bit angsty with each other. So how do you think you can manage that?
Just communicating.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to each other. Tell each other how you're feeling, okay? It's really important to do that. Because once this baby's born, you're going to be your own little family unit, and it's really important to remember that. So yeah, keep those communications going, talk to each other, be open with each other. Okay. Right, so that was all you had from Mum at the moment. What else did you guys have? So we had tired, we talked about that, and no bum.
Oh, being immobile and relying on others to do stuff.
Did they talk last week about maybe, after the delivery, maybe having stitches? Not at all? Okay. Touched on it, okay. Yeah, so, it's very real that there may be, during the delivery, you might have stitches, you might end up having a caesarean, so potentially you could have a wound as well. So you've got to look after yourselves. And all those things, again, if you're in pain, it could be feeling, that make you feel a little bit more sort of, on edge and everything else as well. Hi, come on in. We're just going through, just to explain what we're doing. So we're just talking about after baby's born and how mum is going to feel after baby's born, how partners and family feels and what the changes are going to be like, and also about baby. So we've just talked about mum and we're just going to move on to sort of partners and family and things, okay? And if you've got any questions, just ask. All right, my name's Polly, I'm a health visitor. Okay. And you've met Jo before? Yeah. Lovely. Okay, so moving on to, we're still finishing off on mum. Actually, we haven't finished mum, had we? Go on.
How to care for the baby, the temperature and the feeding, worrying about that.
Anybody else worried about that? What to do with them?
Yeah.
How am I going to know when they're crying? What do they want? Yeah?
How often you feed them, and then they go on about the temperature and the back of the neck, and it can't be too hot, and you have to put all these layers on. But then, what if you go outside? You don't know how cold it is. It's like
it's already an absolute minefield,
isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about temperature a bit later on as well. And you will get to know your babies. You will get to know them. After a while, you start to recognise what those different cries are for as well. So just while we're talking on crying, so do you think for a baby to cry, what do you think that might mean?
It's a form of communication.
Yeah, so what might they want if they're crying?
Hungry.
Cuddle? Yeah?
Hungry.
Nappy change? Yeah.
Hot or cold.
Yeah, it could be hot to be cold, exactly. So you start to work through those things. Now the only thing on there that I would say is hungry. Actually, if your baby is crying, it means your baby is really, really hungry. Okay, there's something called feeding cues. Has anyone heard of feeding cues at all before for babies? So a baby, okay, when they're gonna starting to feel hungry, is this. When they wake up and they first go like this. That's it. So when they're waking up, that is a feeding cue. Okay, so by the time baby's woken up and is awake and is really crying, by that point they're really hungry. So feeding cues was what you look out for. that you respond to your baby so that you then can feed them. Okay, and if you decided to breastfeed, baby straight onto the breast, and if you decided to bottle feed, get the kettle on quickly. Okay. And again, if you go to the infant feeding session, they'll go into much more detail around that. Okay, we'll have a little look about feeding cues on the internet. Okay, so what else have we got? You have money worries again, yeah?
Having a period after.
Yes, well, I'll ask everybody else first. So, what haven't you had for 9 months when you delivered a baby? Periods. This lady over here said
Booze and facts.
booze and facts. There's always one in the group that says that. But yeah, periods. So you do have to be really mindful that, you know, after baby's born, you may well start having periods again. Okay, you will be fertile as well. If you've decided to breastfeed, then sometimes the periods can be held off, so that's one of the benefits of breastfeeding actually. However, not always, and you will never know when you're ovulating, so you could potentially fall pregnant. Now often when I go and see mums after the birth, they're like, when I talk to them about contraception, no, what are you even talking to me about that? I don't even want to know, he's not coming near me, he's not coming near me, no way, no way, no way. But I do have people on my caseload that have children in the same school year, so it does happen, okay? So it's just being very mindful. We've got contraception down here.
You look horrified to
Yeah, we've got contraception on here because what will happen is when you're discharged from the hospital, the midwife will talk to you about contraception before you leave. When the health visitor comes, we'll talk to you about contraception. You go and see your GP at your 6 weeks postnatal check. They talk to you about contraception, so you can see the, you know, the running theme. So it's just being mindful of it. Okay. You might want another baby really closely, but you also might want to give yourself a bit of time to spend with your new baby first. Okay. Right, I think on mums, we've pretty much, I think we touched on most of the things. Where are we? I think we've got skin to skin over here, didn't we, as well, we talked about. The midwife mentioned skin to skin last week a little bit. So skin to skin is a beautiful thing to do and really encouraged after baby's born. But don't forget about it. You can use skin to skin, I would say forever, but maybe not when they're a lot older and teenagers, they might not want to be doing it then. But you know, when they're much younger, you know, it's a lovely thing that sometimes if babies are really upset and you've done the change the nappy, you've fed, you've done everything else, and they're still really sort of upset, strip off your top, you know, take off, you know, everything you've got, strip the baby down to maybe just their nappy and just lay them on you. Yeah? Sometimes that is enough for babies just to settle back down again. Okay? And dads can do that too. You know, if it's chilly, put a little blanket over them and just give them that cuddle. And that closeness and that touching and that feeling can be enough to really settle your babies back down again. So skin to skin, as I say, something, don't forget it. It's a great one to have in your toolkit always for an unsettled baby. Or just to have skin to skin. It doesn't have to be. You can do it any time. Okay. Right, so let's move on to the families then. And husbands, partners. We're tired over here. Yeah. So dad's worried they're going to be tired?
Yes.
Yes.
Obviously, if you are working
Mhm.
and you have to wake up early,
Yeah.
and if you don't have good sleep,
Yeah.
if you're traveling, working in London,
Yeah. I think, yeah, you work in London,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a worry, isn't it, about, again, how you're going to manage that, you're going to be
Yeah.
tired. So, what could you do? Talk to each other, say, I'm feeling really tired, you know, maybe take it in turns for things, yeah? Okay. So tired, what else have we got on Dad's list, or family?
I think thinking of being left out.
Did you guys have that over here at all, being left out?
Yeah, you might
We
be
did.
completely family.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when you were saying going
Yeah.
to work and
Mm.
leaving them behind.
Yeah.
Well, when we said left out means being left out with wife.
Attention
Not
from
that
yeah.
close
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think you're both completely right. You are. There's two elements to it, isn't there? Whereas at the moment it's just you two, and then suddenly you're going to have this baby who's going to take up a lot of your time. And you're right. Some dads do feel really left out. But again, there is only if mum decides to breastfeed, that's the only thing that a dad can't do. That's it. There's all the other things that you can do. Changing nappies is always a good one. Bathing baby, you know, playing, cuddling, interacting, there's skin to skin. You know, every single aspect of that baby's life, you know, partners can do too. The only thing, as I say, is, and that, you know, if you've chosen to breastfeed. Yeah. So yeah, but you're right. Lots of dads can feel left out. So what do you need to do? Communication. Talk to your partner. Tell them how you're feeling. You know, and then you can try and work that through for you as a couple. And I think you're right as well. Totally. You know, about them feeling they've got to go off to work, and you know, mum's there. Oh, a lovely baby, and a lovely time together, and you know, dad's got to come off to a hard day at work. So it can be really quite, you know, quite upsetting for them too. Yeah. So again, it's talking to each other about how you manage that. And mums as well often feel very worried about when dad goes back after paternity leave and things as well. Again, if you're worried about anything, make sure you talk to your health visitor about how you're feeling if things are worrying you. Okay, so anything else on the other list that you guys have got?
Relatives.
Relatives.
Mother-in-law.
Okay. Did you have relatives over here?
Extended family.
Extended family.
That's what I call them out.
So what is it that you're worried about with these relatives? Are they going to come round and be helpful and be really great?
They'll be really helpful. I think everyone's got a different opinion on, you know, even how you change the nappy or what brand you use, or you shouldn't be doing that and she needs this. I think especially mums, they've done it before, so they automatically just go straight in there, don't they?
Okay. So we could have that element of relatives. Who's got relatives that are a bit worried about, who they think it's going to be an absolute nightmare? Yeah. Getting evil eyes.
Is anyone watching Coronation Street at the moment?
No.
Because it's quite prominent on there at the moment.
is it?
Yeah, we're one of the characters. She's the mother-in-law, and so she's taking over with the baby, and so the mum's feeling really pushed out. Yeah, and it's quite apt, really.
Yeah. So how can you manage that then? What do you reckon?
Sort of communication again. Be
You
straight.
just have to stand up for yourselves and stick together as well.
Yeah.
You are going to get loads of advice from people walking down the street, you know, who will stop you and say, oh, lovely, 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 and then give you some advice around something. You'll get advice from the people that you meet, maybe, you know, through the children's centre, through lots of different things. You'll always, and like I said, lots of different relatives. What I tend to say is listen to the advice, because some of it might be really good actually, you know, you might think, and you can just say to them, thank you, that's lovely, that's really interesting, and I'll think about that, yeah? Because actually some of it might be really good, and if you're not sure, ask the health professionals if it's something, because things have changed, new evidence comes out, you know, and actually, you know, the new evidence may show that what they did years and years ago isn't actually safe for babies anymore. So, you know, you can sort of use the health visitor as the excuse, always blame us, that's fine. The health visitor said, actually, that's not the way that, you know, we sort of are recommended anymore. So yeah, and also have that conversation with each other about what you want to do after the baby's born. So it might be that you want your mother-in-law to come and stay for a couple of weeks. It might be that actually you don't want anybody to visit at all for 2 weeks or something. Do you know what? It's your decision. Yeah, as I was saying, you're this new family. You guys have got to make that decision. And I'll tell you a little story about one of my clients. She's an Italian lady. She comes from a big Italian family, and she ended up having a cesarean. She had a very big baby, and she was at home, and I went for the new birth visit, and she told me that she had all this family coming round. They were coming round, they were cooking lasagnas, they were making tea, it was just non-stop. They were just constantly buzz. And she said, about a couple of days before I came, she had literally just stood up and just screamed and just said, please, can just everybody just leave. Just leave me alone, I'm fine, I can do this on my own, just leave me. And she said she wished she had a conversation with her husband and made a decision that actually she didn't want anyone to visit until she was ready. You know, and I thought that's a really good one to share in these sessions because, you know, she said it was lovely, you know, all these lasagnas was fantastic, they shouldn't have to cook, but actually it was just too much for her to take in. So, you know, think about that, and it might be that you do want to tell everybody beforehand that you don't want them to come round until you maybe send them a text. You know, that's fine, isn't it? And if they do come round and you're happy, get them to do something for you, isn't it? Get them to maybe
We
do
always
their
talk
homework.
about having a job list put up. And so what you do is you have a job list, and when they phone to check that it's okay to come round, you warn them that, yeah, it's okay to come round, but there is a job list, and so you're not allowed to leave until you've ticked off a job and actually carried it out. So it could be that you want the dishes doing, or you want a bit of ironing doing, or you know, or they've got to bring a dish with them, and maybe even talk about a time limit to how long they can stay for as well, because that's really important. Because it could be that they come round and you're thinking, oh, they'll only be here for half hour, and 3 hours later they're still here. So, you know, so that's something. But yeah, a job list, and then before they leave, they've done a job for you. So
yeah, all good, definitely. Yeah, it can do, exactly. Make it work for you. Make it work for you, definitely. Okay, what else have we got on there then? So we talked about the relatives and how you're going to cope with them.
Pets.
Pets. And I think you guys have pets as well, didn't you? What are you worried about your pets then?
My little fluffy monster won't love me as much anymore.
Oh, so what have you got? A little
Well, a little massive cat.
massive
Yeah.
cat. Okay,
Big
okay.
one.
So you've got pets
Yeah,
as
got
well?
a cat.
Cats? Pets? No. Anybody else got pets? No. Okay, so what are you worried about though? You're worried about that your cat's not going to love you anymore.
I don't want him to feel left out because he's been my baby for
Yeah.
years, but I know that he's going to shun me.
Okay, okay, and are you worried? in
Safe
what
You
for
way?
might
him.
run away, and
Safety.
safety
for the baby,
Yeah, and you do have to be really mindful about your pets as well. Particularly, I mean, cats are very much, they love warm, as you well know, I'm sure as cat lovers, they love warm spaces. So a lovely, nice little cot is going to, you know, jump into. So you do have to be extra vigilant. Okay. So that is something to think about. I mean, none of you have dogs, so you know we won't go into that. But it's like anything, you just have to be aware and just using your common sense as well. Because you're right, you know, they will be nosy. They will probably have a little look around and see what's going on. Okay. Excellent. So, can we think much more for partners and things? I think we sort of talked about the stress, haven't we? Feeling left out, overwhelmed, tired. Yeah, yeah. I think we've gone through most of those. So we'll have a quick look about what you argue about, and then I think we'll have a break, yeah? And I'll put some little cartoons out on the tables for you during the break. So what is it that you said you were going to argue about? Go on then, reel them off.
We've got workload, money and maternity leave, responsibilities, difference of opinions on parenting and sex life.
Yeah, okay, excellent. That's really, really good. What have you got over here?
Night feeds, names, finances, chores, extended family.
Yeah, okay. So once again, how do you think you're going to manage these differences?
Again, communication.
Communication. Sort of difference of opinion in parenting is a really, really good point, because what you have to think about is, say you guys, you were brought up by one set of parents, you were brought up by another set of parents, so you may well have very different parenting experiences. So, you know, so quite often, this is where sometimes you start to think, well, why are you doing it like that for? That's not right. Surely it's not right. No, that's not how you do it. You know, and then you can start to sort of get on each other's nerves a little bit because you're digging at each other. So again, have those conversations. Keep the communication going, okay? So that you don't get to that point where it is absolutely at each other. So all this, it's meant to be just a bit of a guild, just to highlight again about how things potentially are going to be different and how you're going to be thinking differently. And I think the one that I like to really point out is the one up here with the dad coming in with the pizza and the Coca-Cola. So Mum is in her keep fit gear, yeah? So she's probably not long had the baby, she wants to get back into shape again, you know, she's got her keep fit video on, and then Dad walks in thinking, yeah, gonna have a lovely evening tonight, bringing her something nice that she's gonna love, comes in with a pizza.
cooking.
Yeah, save her cooking, exactly, and comes in with a pizza and a bottle of Coke, and she's probably thinking, God, for goodness sake, you know, I'm standing here, can't he see that actually I'm trying to get fit, I'm trying to lose weight, and you're bringing this in. So how easily...
It might be that, because
It might Diet Coke, you're right. It might be Diet Coke, good point, good point. The pizza, I would imagine, has quite a lot of cheese on it, so yeah.
A lot of calories, isn't it?
Exactly, the calories. So I think it just highlights just, you know, about having those relationships and again, communicating with each other, because what the other one might be thinking, you're thinking, why aren't they picking up on this? Why don't they understand? And actually the other person will be thinking, well, why doesn't she say something? I don't know what she's thinking. Yeah, so keeping that communication going, really important. Okay, so we're going to move on now and have a little look at the baby. So what's going to be different for this baby? So, as I said at the beginning this evening, baby, floating around, having a lovely time, nice and relaxed. And suddenly going to be delivered into the world. How do you think that's going to feel for this baby? What did you get on here?
New experiences.
The new experiences. So how might they make them feel? Overwhelmed, stressed, anxious. So what might they do?
Cry.
Cry. So what are we going to do when they cry? Give them a cuddle. That's right. Who thinks you can spoil a baby by cuddling them too much? Anybody? Good, because you can't. Yeah, well done. You can't spoil a baby. Yeah. And again, you might get these relatives who are going to say to you, "Put that baby down. You're going to spoil them." They're going to want you to do that all the time. You know, never just put them down. Just again, blame the health visitor if you like. Say no. The health visitor said, cuddling baby is really important. Yeah. So interacting with your baby, picking them up, responding to their needs, really important. And actually, like we're saying, they're probably just feeling a little bit anxious, a bit worried about things, yeah? We use a term as well within Luton, something called 5 to Thrive. Has anyone ever heard it or seen anything about 5 to Thrive before?
A little bit up there.
There's a little bit over
Some
here.
in the front entrance as well.
Yeah, it's about the kind of building blocks of what we know to help make a baby feel secure, to make them feel happy. We know babies that feel secure and happy and loved release that hormone. Remember I was talking about oxytocin earlier on? And oxytocin actually stimulates brain growth. So for your baby's brains to help them develop, yeah, and actually help to stimulate the brain growth, picking them up, cuddling them, talking to them, interacting with them, and even from now, yeah, talk to your bumps. You know, if you're rubbing your bumps and talk to them, because they can hear you, yeah? Everyone know that they can hear you already? Yeah?
Sometimes they respond.
Exactly, yeah. I was just about to ask that. As anybody, you know, sort of dad walks in or someone walks in and baby suddenly starts to, yeah, because they already know your voices. It's amazing, really. So, you know, even from now, you can start that process. And when the baby is born, it's no different. You're changing the nappy, you're talking to them. It doesn't matter that there's nobody else around whatsoever. Walking down the road and in their pram, you look into them and you talk to them, because all those things will help that baby to feel loved, secure and happy. Okay. Alright, so can't spoil baby, lots of cuddling. So what else have we got?
We've got breathing.
Yes, I'm reading.
First one, breathing.
Yeah, not having to do that really much at the moment. Okay, yeah, so breathing, yeah.
Feeling hungry.
Yeah.
Settling into routines.
Yeah, so we talked about feeding cues with the feeling hungry and about, you know, what that means, you know, looking out for those so that you are what we call responsive feeding. Okay?
Learning how to communicate themselves, how to get one's attention and whatnot.
Yeah.
Smells and sounds.
Yes, because what do you think it's going to be like for baby after they're born? You said at the moment, they'll be a little bit muffled maybe. You said they were responding to sounds, so it's probably going to feel quite loud, isn't it, when baby's first born? So again, they could feel really anxious. What was that thing you said? Smells as well, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah. And babies can smell mum's breast milk. So again, when we're talking about skin to skin and things like that as well, yeah. Smell the milk.
And then also swaddling and temperature.
Yeah. So what's it about swaddling?
What is swaddling?
Yeah.
You wrap your baby like in a blanket so their arms are kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of like wrap them, so like babies
Tuck
kind of
them in.
wrapped up kind of thing, yeah.
Cooking them.
Yeah.
So,
Kind of like,
restricted.
kind of, what's the kind of benefit of it? Should we do it? Should we not do it?
Yeah. Okay, so swaddling, what we're going to talk more about safer sleeping in a little while anyway, but swaddling is something that lots of people do, okay, and it is very much what you do with that baby. Some babies like to be swaddled, some you will just, like you were saying, just constantly moving around. We don't recommend tight swaddling, but if you do decide to swaddle your babies, what I would say is always, once the baby is settled, release the baby so that they can move around a little bit as well. Exactly. And when you're talking about temperature, it kind of has a knock-on effect to that. What do you do when you're hot?
Sweat.
You move, don't you? You move yourself around, yeah? So if a baby's too hot, they often do that. They're wriggling to kind of let some of the heat go as well. So if you've got a baby like this, and then you've got them tucked under all these other things as well, potentially a baby can get a bit too hot. So just being mindful of that, okay? But, you know, as I said, you know, it's your decision if you want to swaddle or not. So temperature, you guys had temperature, didn't you? Or was that all more about
Cold and hunger.
Cold and hunger, yeah. Okay, so temperature, again, hold that thought, because we're going to talk about temperature a bit when we're looking at sort of sleeping environments and things as well. Okay.
So I just wanted to ask, the swaddling, is that the same as those little wraps that you get, that you wrap the baby around you?
Oh, like a sling.
Effect on them?
You mean like a sling, so that you actually carry the baby?
It's like these, it's kind of like a sling, but you still wrap them around, just like a cuff thing.
Yeah.
So is that going to have the same effect on them?
Now with slings, you can, there's lots of different types of slings. What I would say is there's a certain, and we actually give you a sheet around this when we come to see you after baby's born. There's a thing called ticks that if you're going to purchase one, that baby is able to be held up, that you can kiss the baby. They're not kind of left sort of crunched over in some of them. Excuse me. So yeah, you know, but lots of people use slings, and actually sometimes, you know, just to get around, you want to get the housework done, or you want to go out and about. Some people find slings really useful. So yes, you can use them, but it's just making sure that the ones that you use are safe.
There is a sling library.
I was about to say, there's a sling library in Luton as well. So at Stopsey Baptist Church, they have the sling library goes there every week at the same time as the clinic. So you can actually go and they teach you how to wrap them, how to put it on, and they lend them out as well. And you can look online as well. If you look online, you can input Luton Sling Library, and then you can have a little read around it.
And that's okay for the hips, the position of the hips?
Yeah, yeah, because the way they do it, if you sort of follow those things, and yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, it's really good, yeah. And some babies, again, feel that closeness, and they really enjoy, you know, being in the sling. So yeah, really good point, thank you. Okay, so we talked about temperature, so, sorry, where were we over here? We talked about being overwhelmed. Sight, now we were talking about sight. So, can babies see?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah?
But their senses are sensitive.
Yeah, you're right. And also, they can see, but they tend to see really sort of only really bold colours. How far do you think they can see?
Not that far yet.
Not that far?
Not yet, but they can't focus that far yet.
That's right. So how far do you reckon?
Breast the face?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah, about
That's what they're used to at the moment.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's sort of they're not really having, they do open and close their eyes and everything. When babies are born, obviously it's going to be very bright, so initially you'll sort of see them like this, and eventually they'll be opening their eyes more and more, and then if, usually, I reckon babies can see from about here to here, and even then your face is probably going to be a little bit kind of, a little bit blurry as well.
So they've learned how to focus it.
Yeah, and that's exactly that, they learn, and so again, what I'm talking about interacting with them, you're talking to them, they're seeing a face, and that will help them to feel, you know, safe and secure. So, sight, interaction, yes, we talked a lot about that and the 5 to 5 principles that we have in Luton. How about putting baby to sleep? Do you think they're going to love sleeping in the Moses basket?
Not as much as where they came from.
Exactly. So at the moment, they're not even having to worry too much, are they? So again, lots of people think that, you know, babies, they don't like the Moses basket. They don't like the Moses basket at all. They don't like sleeping in the cot. They don't like sleeping because they've got to get used to it. They've not done this before, so it's about, you know, yeah, put them down. If they are crying, like I said, you can pick them back up again, give them a little cuddle, settle them back down, and then slowly they will learn that actually this is the place, you know, that I go to sleep in. It's a learning process for them. And I think we forget that sometimes with babies. You just expect them to do everything, and they're learning too, just as you guys are as parents. I think one really important thing to remember with, you know, through all of this, is that, you know, you've not done this before, the baby hasn't done it before, nobody is a perfect parent. No one gets everything right all the time. Just try not to put too much pressure on yourselves, because you want to enjoy this experience. It's amazing, you know. So just try not to overwhelm yourselves with trying to get absolutely everything right. Okay. So babies, we'll just touch on a couple of things which none of you put down. What else does baby do? Think about bodily fluids. Go into the
Throws
toilet.
up.
Yeah, throws up. Okay, so vomiting. So is it normal for babies to vomit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, it is. It's quite normal. Lots of babies will have a little bit of vomit. So you fed them, you're winding them, yeah? So you're winding your babies after they've been fed up here, or different ways of winding. A little bit of a burp may come up, and then they might have a little bit of sick. Normal. We're not going to worry about that at all. And if you're buying lots of things, muslin squares, have anyone heard of muslin squares? They're great to buy because, you know, you can sort of put them over your shoulder so that if baby's sick, you're not getting all over your clothes. So, so quite normal for babies to have a bit of vomit. And how about the other end? So, babies have lots of wheeze, yeah? And how about the poo? Did the midwife talk about poo last week at all? Stunned silence. Okay, so what's meconium? Tell me about that.
Their first poo.
Their first poo. Right, so first poo, what colour is the first poo going to be that baby's going to have?
Yellow.
Yeah, so black, you're right, which is the meconium. So well done. So but first poo is going to be really thick, black, tarry kind of poo. Great one for dads to do, because from then onwards it just gets better. Okay? Then you what colour do you think the poo goes to slightly next?
Green.
Green, yep. Oh, look at you, you're getting all these right. Yeah, going on to green, slushy, kinds of runny still poo, can be a bit pasty. Then what are we moving on to after that? What are we aiming for? What kind of poo are we aiming for?
Solid.
Solid? Oh, no.
Yellow.
Yellow? Yeah. Yellow, runny poo. Often chicken korma, exactly. Just like chicken korma. So a yellow, runny poo. That tells me that your baby is actually feeding really well. So although, you know, as I said, I'm a nurse, and nurses love talking about poo, and actually when we come and see you, the midwives will probably ask you about poo and things as well. We'll ask you about poo, and you'll probably think, like, oh my god, these people are obsessed about poo. But actually, as I say, it does tell me an awful lot about how your baby's feeding. How many times do they go a day, what colour is it, you know, what consistency is it, because all of these things, as I say, is an indication for us of, you know, how baby is doing. So, you know, it's you know, it's good to don't worry, you don't have to make notes of every single poo they have, but just be aware of what sort of colours and the consistency. Okay, excellent. I think that's most things for baby. Has anyone got any questions?
If your baby's constipated,
Yes.
you have a bond,
Okay.
what do you do?
Okay, so we're at the moment talking about babies when they've just been born. So it's very, very unlikely your baby will be constipated. And in fact, people worry because they think, oh, my baby's got diarrhoea, because they can go so frequently. You know, some babies go at every feed. There's a little bit of yellow poo at every feed. And that's normal. That is absolutely normal. And then, often what happens in breastfed babies, around about sort of 4 to 5 weeks, they often have a growth spurt, and they don't poo at all. And then, you know, you're worrying, and actually they're not constipated. As long as the poo is quite runny, sort of yellowish, then I'm not too worried. But again, talk to the health professional. You know, make in those cases, if you're really worried, then make a note of how many times and speak to somebody. Okay, but the majority of the time, it's not what we call true constipation. Because babies really have to really give it some welly to go to the toilet. And often you think, oh my god, they're in so much pain and I'm really worried about them. And actually it's just normal for babies to really wriggle around. Because you've got to remember they're lying down to have a poo. I know anyone's tried that? Quite difficult. Yeah.
Not that I recall.
It'd be quite difficult. So, you know, that baby is doing that. So you have to remember that. It does take them a bit of a wriggling and a bit of welly. Okay? Lovely. Right then, so we're going to talk a little bit about the red book. Has everyone got one on the table? Have we got another one anywhere so I can talk through it? Thank you. Has anyone seen the red book? I'm just going to pinch this on for a minute. Has anyone seen these before? Anyone got their own at home that maybe their mum and dad had? So this is your child's personal child health record, PCHR, you also hear it called. So this gets given to you by the newborn hearing screening lady. So did everybody know your babies are going to have a hearing test just after they're born? Oh, there you go. So, okay, yeah.
She was just asking who gives us the book.
Okay, so it's the newborn hearing screening lady. So your baby will have a hearing test, usually done at the hospital, but if it's not done there, they will either give you an appointment or come to the home to do it. Okay, and they give you this book. So, so she will give you the book. This is your book to keep. Yeah, it's not mine, it's not the GP's, it's yours to keep. So if you want to write in here, you can do, it's up to you. What will happen is all of the health things will get documented in here. So when we come to see you, we fill some of this out, and as I said, hopefully if the midwives come to you, you can ask them to put the weight on the back of the book as well. Okay? So after the newborn hearing screening lady has given you the book, the next kind of screening thing that will happen for your baby is usually, I think the midwife, correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn, will come to the home the day after baby's born.
The day after you've been discharged.
Discharged from hospital,
yeah.
If that's obviously if you've all gone home straight away, and they will come and see you at home the next day, yeah? After that, the next time that you'll be seen will be about day 5. And usually, most of the time, you are asked to go into a clinic to see the midwives. Okay. And at that visit, they usually will weigh baby. And quite often, babies will lose a little bit of weight. That's quite normal. They will also ask to take a blood sample. Oh God, this baby's really heavy. A blood sample from the baby's foot. Has anyone ever heard of that before? So it's called the heel prick test or the Guthrie test. Newborn blood spot screen. It's all the same thing. So, have we got any of them on here? Yeah. So, if you're somebody who's a bit squeamish, remember we said about babies, they feed off of how you're feeling and your anxieties and that. So, if you're a bit nervous about anything, then maybe take somebody with you. Often they will ask you to hold baby, and they will do a tiny little prick on the heel, hence why it's called the heel prick test. And then little form like this. Put blood on all of here, and then this wings its way off to Great Ormond Street Hospital, and it's tested for a number of diseases. Now, the reason they do this on day 5 is because if baby has got any of these diseases, the quicker they pick it up, the quicker they can maybe start something. It may be that a specialist diet is needed, or some special medication, or something like that. Okay. And if you're worried about anything, speak to the midwives. So no one got any questions about that at all?
We do ask that you put socks on baby that day. So on the day 5,
okay.
Put socks on because it's easier to get a good sample when the baby's feet are warm. So maybe 2 or 3 pairs of socks.
With winter babies, it's likely that they'll have something on their feet.
Yeah, usually. Yeah, it's just keep them toasty.
Okay. And you asked about what they test for. Okay, so hypothyroidism. Sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, cystic fibrosis, hypothyroidism, and there's lots of other. Majority of them are metabolic diseases. So I used to be able to reel them off, but they've added about another 5.
There's something called NCAD now, and it's the protein in the milk.
Yeah.
It's to do with brain development.
PKU, the NCAD, and then there's all these other. There's one called glucose syrup and all these kind of things. There's lots of different ones, so I can't remember them all anymore. But the majority of those, as I say, are metabolic diseases. Very, very rare, but as I say, the quicker we know about these things, the better. Right, so that's day 5. Day 10, hopefully you'll go and see the midwife, and again, probably be in the clinic. And then if the midwife's happy with everything, they will discharge you from their care into the care of the health visitor. We will call you, we will phone you before then, as long as we've got all your right numbers, and we'll come and visit you between day 10 and 14. At that visit, we will fill out the rest of the red book, ask you lots of interesting questions about your health and family health, and we will weigh and we will measure baby as well. We'll measure how long they are and measure the head circumference and plot everything into the back of the red book into these growth charts, as you can see here. Now, if you don't understand, and the health visitor is saying to you, oh yes, I've plotted them on this one, they're on the 25th centile, you're like, okay, no idea what that means. Just ask, okay? Because sometimes we do that and we forget that, you know, parents don't always understand what we're talking about. So don't be afraid to say, what does that mean for my baby? Okay, we'll explain it to you. The other thing that I forgot to mention was around the Bcg injection. That is something that we offer to all of your babies. Usually they'll catch you when you're still in hospital and ask you, so it's a good thing to have that conversation with each other first. The Bcg, anyone know what that protects against? TB, yeah, tuberculosis. So in Luton we are actually a high risk area. So we do recommend that all babies are immunised against tuberculosis. Years ago they used to do it at school age. That doesn't happen anymore, so this is your chance to have your child immunised. The immunisation is a little injection just at the top of the arm, and then babies very, very, very rarely become unwell. It usually is just a reaction. Does anyone remember having it at school? You end up like a pus-filled blister, yeah, not very nice, but that's usually the reaction, but then at least your baby will be protected. So have that conversation, because it might be that suddenly someone will come to you and you'll be a bit like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know. So at least then you can say, yes, I'd like to have it done. I'd like to think about it. You can have it done later on. They will send you a letter. And again, if you're missed, because of course you've delivered your baby, everything's fine, you've gone home within a matter of hours, they will send you a letter with an appointment for that as well. Okay. Any questions about that at all? No? Okay, I think that is everything around the Red Book. As I say, there is some ones on the table, so if you want to have a little nose through it, please do. So now we're going to move on to talk about safer sleeping. Okay, so this is a subject that can be quite difficult to talk about. And again, if anybody feels that they want to sort of talk to me at the end about anything, that's fine, or just ask me questions as we're going through. So, anyone heard about the term sudden infant death syndrome? Yeah? Years ago they used to call it cot death, you may have heard that. So cot death is when a baby passes away, and we don't know why. Cot death, we don't use that term anymore because actually it indicates that the cot is unsafe. And actually the cot is probably one of the safest places for the baby to sleep. So the term sudden infant death, as I say, is when a baby passes away and we often don't know why. We have, they do the post-mortem, they just can't find out a reason. There are a number of other deaths as well, and then when they look into it, often things could have been changed, and often it's asphyxiation, or something that they look at the area where baby was sleeping, and it could have maybe modified, and that baby may not have died. Okay. So we know there's lots of things we can do to help reduce these risks of the sudden infant death and suffocation. So I've set this little cot up here, so we've got a Moses basket. Now, you don't have to have a Moses basket at home, but they're quite handy to have because you can sort of pick them up and carry them around and things. But you can stick your baby straight into a cot if you want to as well. That is fine. Whatever what you choose. So, I'm going to walk around with baby and have a little show you everybody. And I want you to have a little look and see if you think this is a lovely way for your baby to sleep. That'll be nice and safe for them. There's no risk to the baby. This lovely bit on the head is a hat. Okay, that's a hat. We couldn't find a hat. You can see. She's lovely and snug. She's nice and snug under there. Yeah? Can you see her? Bring her around for you to see. There you go. You can see she's she's got her eyes open, so she's just waking a bit. See her in there. Okay. Okay. She's fast asleep. So, do we think this is a really safe way for me to sleep my little baby girl? No. No? What's wrong? What's wrong?
Too high up.
She's too high up. Okay, so where should she be?
A bit more down, I think.
bit more down?
Yeah.
In the middle? Or further down? What do you reckon?
Feet at the bottom.
Feet at the bottom. Perfect. Lovely. So why do you think she needs to go with the feet at the bottom?
So she can't wiggle under her blanket.
Yes. So she can't, oh, hat's fallen off. So she can't wriggle under her blankets, you are right. So I often use the term feet to foot, you might have heard that before. So that's true again if she's in a Moses basket, if she's, you know, in a crib or cot, whatever, always put the feet to the very end, okay? So she can't wriggle down under those blankets. Happy? Okay. Anything else?
Too many blankets.
Okay, too many blankets. Okay, so too many blankets. Right, so first of all, this one come off. But this one came in the Moses basket.
I think that's an option.
No?
Is that what the kid lies on?
No, this is like a duvet. Like a little
Okay.
duvet.
I think that one
You
is
can get rid of it.
You can take that off, I think.
Do you want to take it off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think?
Do you think?
Yeah. And also, it doesn't breathe at all. So actually, we don't recommend any type of duvet at all, okay, for babies. So let's take that off. So now is she okay? Or still too many? Still too many. So this one here, nice thick fleecy blanket. Are these great for babies to sleep under? What do you reckon? No? Why not?
It's not breathable.
Has anyone ever sat under one of these in front of the telly in the
Yeah.
winter? How hot do you get? Really, really warm. So if you think about it, you've got these, yeah, and babies underneath there, and also, remember did you see what I did then as well? So that's one blanket. That's two blankets.
Gets even thicker.
Exactly, even thicker, 4 blankets. So you think about this poor little baby underneath. We're sweating away. So we don't recommend these fleecy blankets, okay, for babies sleeping. Fine if you're just going maybe in and out of the car, something like that, you know, you still got to be really mindful, you know, but they're not great. So how about these other ones here? But these are thinner fleecy blankets. Are these okay? No, no. And often if you have baby showers and things like that, people buy you loads of these, so.
Get receipts.
Get receipts.
Ask for gift receipts.
Okay, so, and this one as well. Yeah, take that one off. Right, so finally, I've got this blanket. Is everyone happy with this blanket?
I think so.
Yeah? Yeah. These are the ones we recommend. They're often called waffle blankets or cellular blankets, and that's because they have the holes through them so that the air can flow, and if baby is a bit warm and they're pouring off that heat, then actually it will help them cool down.
What kind of material?
Yeah, you can feel it. I think they're cotton. Cotton, yeah. Yeah. You can get them pretty much, you know, everywhere really. But these are the best ones that we would recommend. So, we've got it folded twice. Do you reckon that's okay? Probably say this sort of temperature? Yeah, probably so, that's fine. The thing is that I'm not going to tell you how many blankets to use because I don't know how warm your house is. You might love having the heating on and have it on really hot. You might be in a home that's got a draft or something like that. So there's no sort of right or wrong. You've got to think about the environment and how warm it is. Anybody any idea what the recommended temperature is in a home for a baby to sleep? Or just to be in generally really, but mostly for sleeping.
19.
Is it 16 to 20 or something I read somewhere?
Yeah, no, you're both right. It is around, we've got one here. You might, depends where you read, you might see 16 to 21, anywhere between that. 18 is like your absolute kind of, you know, bang on. So if you're setting your thermostat, you're all having winter babies as well, aren't you?
21 in here now.
Yeah, so if you look on here, this one says 21 degrees. So actually, it's really at the top of being hot in here. Thermometers, I would suggest you get one for the home. You don't need to spend loads of money. Something like this is perfect. This was in a little pack of other things. It was like a £5 from Amazon. These are great because actually you can take it around with you. So if you've gone upstairs, you can take it upstairs. You go downstairs, you can take it downstairs. You go and stay at your relatives for the weekend, you can take it with you. Also, just being mindful to put it near where the baby is though, not in the cot of the baby, but sort of somewhere near them, rather than up here, because obviously it's not going to give you a true reflection of what the heat is. So really useful to use. So, okay, so we've got the house is nice warm. Baby's probably got like about 18 degrees. They might have a little vest on and a little sleep suit, and then your blankets. Right, so happy now.
No, look.
Shall I come to you because you shouted that one out? What was it?
Pillow.
Pillow. But I have a pillow, and surely baby needs a pillow because it's you know, what about his head and you have to lift it up and everything.
No, baby don't need a pillow.
No, you're right, they don't. So, babies, I'll take it away and lay baby flat. Babies need to be flat. Now, in Luton we use a term, I don't know if any of you have seen it at all, about the tubes of life. Anyone seen that anywhere? Okay, so we talk about the tube of life. So at the moment, the tube of life for the baby is the umbilical cord, yeah, where everything's going through. Once baby is born, then the breathing tube becomes their tube of life. So that is what you are trying to get the optimum amount of oxygen through to baby. So, if you've got a baby and you're putting them on a pillow, what do you think you're doing to the baby's head? Yeah? You're tilting the baby's head forward. So actually what you're doing is blocking the airway. So potentially that baby is not going to be inhaling as much oxygen as it possibly can. So have you, all the new guidance about car seats, where they're saying now that babies should only stay in car seats for about 30 minutes maximum. It's the same principle, because babies are over like this. So if you're travelling on long distances, they recommend that you stop, take baby out, you know, give them a bit of a cuddle, you know, let them up and about before you carry on. Okay. So no pillow. And also, if you look at babies, they often have, their heads are big for their bodies. We've grown into our heads, whereas babies, as I say, have quite big heads. So this is what we often call nature's pillow. Yeah, so they have their own sort of natural pillow, if you like. Now, sometimes people worry about being sick, but babies, the force that any sick comes out will actually push up and go down the side, and babies tend to naturally turn their heads anyway. Okay, so we wouldn't recommend on the side either. So all for babies. So has anybody noticed anything else in there about this baby? So we've taken the pillow away. Cuddly toy. What's wrong with the cuddly toy?
It's a risk of suffocation.
Exactly. But again, my mother-in-law bought this. She's going to be very cross that I've not got it in the crib. What we're going to say.
Tough.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. So nothing in the sleeping area at all, apart from the baby and the tucked-in blankets. Yeah. Because exactly that could suffocate. So no toys in the crib at all. Are we happy? Yes. What's the hat doing? Yes. What is that hat doing? So why not? Why doesn't baby need a hat on at all? What do you think?
Because it gets too hot. Can't take it off.
Exactly. So babies, remember we said about them losing heat? Where didn't they lose most of their heat from? Their heads, yeah. So if you then cover it and that baby's feeling warm, it's then, you know, not going to be able to allow that heat to disperse. And again, lots of people culturally shave babies' heads. Even then, if you're inside, they do not need to have a hat on at all. Okay, if you're outside and it's freezing cold, slightly different. But do remember, if you go out, because again, you're all having winter babies, you go out and maybe you go into town and you've got baby in the pushchair and you've got the snowsuit on and you've got the hat on and you've got everything, you know, they've got their mittens on and everything else, and you're walking around the town, what you do have to remember is that baby is probably going to be absolutely cooking in the pushchair. So remember to take the hat off, maybe take, you know, undo some of the zip of the snowsuit, whatever, so that baby isn't overheating in the pushchair. Okay. So, hat off. Are we happy yet? I'll bring it round so you can see. Baby's at the bottom. Feet are at the bottom.
I think turn around, baby.
Yeah.
Our arms are a bit twisted enough.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? That is right.
Crime scene.
But you're right. Baby needs to be on her back. So remember what I was just saying about. Sorry, I'll turn the head gently.
I thought the baby was on their back. It was twisted.
So yeah, so you've got the baby. Remember what I was saying about the tubes of life and about baby being, you know, on their back. If they're on their fronts, they're potentially, if they are sick, they're more likely to what we call aspirate that as well. So babies on their backs, nice and flat, is the best way for baby to sleep. And again, you may well get relatives. When you were a baby, we used to put you on your front and you were absolutely fine. What we do know, the research shows us, there's actually years ago, when they first started giving information about sudden infant death syndrome, when they told parents to put babies on their back and to stop smoking around babies, literally, if you saw it on a graph, the drop was so significant. So they are really significant. So if anybody, again, is a smoker, great time to give up. We can always refer you into the stop smoking service as well. Because
But I don't smoke.
I was thinking, could you miss out to booze?
Yeah, it's a great time to try and give up if you can. If you can. And if somebody is a smoker in the home, then certainly, definitely smoke outside. Really, really important. And also that person, try not to let them sort of hold baby, touch the baby for at least half an hour. Get them to brush their teeth, get them to wash their hands. You know, so it's it's really important so that smoke doesn't get transferred onto baby. So now are we happy? Your baby's sleeping well. But she's nice and awake now and she's moving around. Yeah? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to see. In the cot, the only thing
Show us, please.
So sorry.
Thank you.
See.
So it's a good position. And
Perfect. Yeah, so baby is tucked in. So the blankets are tucked in underneath baby's oh, sorry. Perfect. So baby has got the blankets tucked in under the arms and round. Some people ask about they call them row bags and things, the little bags, the sleeping bags for babies. Again, it is your personal choice. What I would say is just make sure that you buy one that is right size for your baby. So they often say how old on them. Just make sure it's the right, sort of the age of your baby.
I think they're seasonal as well, aren't you? You get like a different top.
Different things as well, yeah. So it's just using your common sense, and then you don't need to like pile blankets on top of that because that's usually enough for some babies. Okay.
Just be mindful, because some people might think if they get a bigger one then the baby can grow into it, but actually the risk there is that if it's too big for the baby, then the baby can wriggle down inside it.
Yeah.
So that's why we say about getting the right size for.
Yeah.
And just to quickly mention as well, that talking about hats,
Yeah.
your baby will have a hat put on at birth. That's something relatively new.
Yeah.
So pop a little hat in your bag for delivery suite. But yeah, if you forget it, we do have a bit of tubey grip, and we just tie a knot in it and put it on baby's head. It's really cute.
And that's for just in the hospital. So as soon as baby comes home, you don't need to wear the hat anymore, and that sometimes does confuse parents because they're being told, well, baby had to have a hat on in the hospital, but that was just about that immediate time after birth. Okay. So how about bed sharing? What do people feel about that? So baby's not settling in the Moses basket, as we said, keeps crying every time I put her in there. So I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm going to bring her into bed with me. How do people feel about that, or got any thoughts around it at all?
I think it's a bad thing. Then they get used to being in bed and then they'll never sleep in their own cot.
Okay, so it's a no from you guys.
Rolling over and suffocating them.
Quite dangerous. You don't think you will do? Not sure. Any thoughts over here about bed sharing?
I like the idea of the cut side bed better than the lying in the bed per se.
Okay.
Like I'd be a bit nervous about them lying in the bed.
Okay. So what we recommend is, what we say is the safest place for a baby to sleep is in the Moses basket or in the cot. Yeah. However, what we do know is lots of people do bed share. Okay, I'd much rather you were aware of how to do it as safely as possible. So I'm going to give you the advice. As I said, the safest place we know to reduce the risks is to go back into the cot. So if you did decide to bring baby into bed with you, lots of people, particularly if they're breastfeeding, they feed baby, sometimes lying down is the most comfortable position. What you want to make sure of is that firstly, whoever's in the bed has not been drinking alcohol, taking any drugs that are going to alter your consciousness, or smoking. And if your baby is born early as well, it's definitely not recommended at all. If you have baby in bed with you, once again, you would put them on top of the duvet, not under with you. You would give them their own little blanket, same sort of blanket, sort of on top. You've got to be really careful they don't wriggle under that as well. No pillows from the bed in there either. You have to be really careful where baby is positioned, that they're not going to roll off the bed, and that they're not going to get trapped up against the side and get suffocated against the side of anywhere. So, you've just got to be mindful of those things. Lots of parents say, I'm never going to do it, and then actually, you know, middle of the night, they're really tired and they do end up bed sharing, so just make it as safe as possible. Okay. How about sleeping on sofas? So, just picture it now. Dad's tired, he's got to get up for London in the morning, okay? So he's tired and the baby's been crying, not been settled, and you're thinking to yourself, do you know what? I don't want to bring him into bed because I don't want to bed share, so I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to get on the sofa and, do you know what, I'm going to have a little cuddle and we're going to have a little sleep on the sofa together. How do we feel about that? Yeah, it's really high risk, unfortunately, because lots of babies have been suffocated in that way. And often you're giving cuddles to babies, sitting on the sofa like this, and babies love being cuddled like this because they can feel your heartbeat, they feel close. If you feel yourself dropping off, always put baby back into the Moses basket if you're downstairs, or the crib, or anything that lays nice and flat. Okay? Much, much safer. Has anyone got any questions about that at all? Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, I've seen the Moses basket with the stands.
Yes.
Is it better, like what's the best position to use that in? Because we've got a pen, but I want to get that as also, is it better to have that on a stand? Or?
Well, it's up to you. It depends on the size of your house, because everybody, again, is going to have something slightly different. We recommend that babies stay in the same room as you for the first 6 months as well, at least. You talked about the next to me cot as well. Yeah. I mean, that is really popular now, the next to me cot. What we recommend in Luton, though, is that you always have the side up. If you have it down, it actually just becomes bed sharing. You know, because and duvets have been known to kind of flop over and actually go into that side of the crib as well. Yeah. So we do say that, I mean, they're lovely cots, they're a lovely size, the next to me cots, and they last a little bit longer, but you know, we do recommend the side is up when sleeping. Okay. But then again, the actual stands and things, up to you. Some people like to put the Moses basket, you know, into their cots in the bedroom. Some people do that. You know, it really works, whatever works for you guys. Okay. The one thing we say about with any kind of cot or mattress is always, if you get one second hand, always change the mattress though. Everything else, that and car seats are the only two things we'll say, always get brand new, mattresses and car seats. Anything else, second hand is usually absolutely fine for babies, but you just got to be a bit careful. But Elaine's going to talk more about some of that next week.
Not coming.
Oh, Elaine's not coming, sorry. Okay. Joe next week is going to talk a little bit more about those things as well. And Dawn, are you coming as well? Lovely, fantastic. So they'll go into more detail about that then. I mean, I know it's not a particularly nice subject, it can, you know, sort of evoke some emotions, but we know these things really do help to reduce the risk. So again, we will go over it when we come and see you, when we visit at home, and the midwives talk to you about it as well, and we give you leaflets and things. Okay. Now, all the information we take is from somewhere called the Lullaby Trust. So if anybody wants to have a look on their website beforehand, you know, while you're off and you've got not a lot to do.
I've just given you some leaflets.
Oh, have you?
There's examples about bed sharing and the Lullaby. They are all from the Lullaby Trust website, so you can just Google Lullaby Trust, and it gives you lots of information on there, especially about bed sharing and safe asleep.
Website, right?
Yes. So that's the logo there. So if you see that logo,
and most babies last up to about 3 months in there. Some do longer, but you know, I have had some babies who have been big babies have only lasted up to about 8 weeks. And then, you know, but usually what you find is once they start moving, they're starting to roll and the whole thing starts rocking, you're thinking, right, okay, time to get them into, you know, something a bit bigger or into their cots.
What do you, yeah, because they say to stay in your room for 6 months, but that's only going to last half the time.
Yeah.
And we can't fit a cot in our room. So.
Maybe a travel cot.
Okay.
You know, sometimes travel cots are
fine.
Smaller. Yeah, they're slightly smaller. That could be an interim period, or you may want to look for a bigger crib, if you like, as well. So
you can, you just pull it.
Yeah, really?
Rocks, turn the legs of rocks and stands.
Lots of different types of things, so it's worth having a look. Mamas and papas, try different ones. Mamas and papas. I have a look around, you know, and there's lots of different brands and things
Other
like
famous
that.
brands are available.
Yeah, brands are available. Yeah. So have a look around, you know, have a look on the website and see, and see what other ones they are. Lovely. Okay, so I'm very conscious of the time, so I know we're nearly done. We're just going to move on to bathing baby. So, anybody would like to have a go at bathing baby? All I'm going to do is talk you through this leaflet. Anybody? And takes a
You're not really bathing it, it's pretending to bath.
You need to get up.
Yeah.
Are you happy to be on the
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're different ones. So they're not for you. They're just, that one's about bed sharing, so it's just to have a look.
I'll get you good
Go on the
side.
website and have a look. So that one's about back to sleep, because you'll be that one's about bed sharing.
That baby looks serious.
Some kind of blanket like this. Is it okay?
These are the grow bags that we were talking about. So they have to be the right size for your baby.
Because I bought
So this here,
Yeah.
yeah, they have to be the right size for the baby, because if they're too big, the baby can wriggle inside them, so you have to get the right size. And like we were saying as well, they're seasonal, so the summer ones are a bit thinner and they've got a lower top rating. Because with them, with their arms coming out, then they're less likely to overheat. If they're too, yeah, so they're less likely, but it's something that you could use, but again,
I can use it,
but you wouldn't need any blankets at all with that. So that would just be that and that's it. So no blankets.
Just got to look like the kite marks and things like that.
Both are fine. Both are fine. So you could use a blanket, but you don't use both together. So
if I put this one, I don't need that one.
no.
That must be another 8 pounds.
I would say get a couple of blankets anyway, spare just in case, but because you may find that
Get one, yeah.
maybe you they're in the wash or something like that, but it's all it's there.
So if I bought two, it's okay, yeah?
As long as they fit the baby correctly.
So I can use till what age?
Till they grow out of that time. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it can't be too big, and they can't be too small.
So should be this one is long sleeve. Yeah?
It depends on you. You can have long or short.
Because I have both. This short sleeve.
Yeah, the baby grows. Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Compared to that.
These like this, some with the feet in. Yeah.
And you're going away somewhere as well.
Yeah, pockets on both sides for everything, nappies and...
Travel costs are quite big. When you fold them
That's
down.
one of them things you see sometimes when people have gone away and they've gone to stay at a friend's at someone's house and actually they've forgotten to take anything with them, and that's when their bed shared, and that's when, you know, unfortunately things have happened. Yeah, so having something like that's really useful. Okay, right, okay, we'll move on to bath and baby. So has anyone here bathed baby before? Yeah, you've done it before? Okay. So one of the most...
You're going to do the...
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
So I'll just sit down for 2 seconds just while we go through this, but otherwise we'll be standing hanging around for a moment. The most important thing about bathing baby is preparation. Okay? So you need to be prepared. So how many towels do you think you need to start off with? What do we reckon? One towel? Any advances? 2? Yeah, at least 2. So, why do you think that is? Why do you need at least 2 towels?
One each way.
Might wet themselves, might get soiled, yeah, might get really wet. So always good to have at least a couple of towels. Doesn't have to be this type, it can be any towel you like. These are just the ones that we're using. And again, if you have a baby shower, you probably get bought loads of these, okay? But wherever you like. And how about a bath? Have any of you bought baths yet? No? Yeah. I am surprised. What bath have you got?
It's a blue one of those.
Bit like
I've
this.
got a, when it gets a little bit bigger, so it's a seat you stick in the actual bath.
Brilliant, okay. Have you guys bought baths at all yet?
No,
Not yet. What type of bath have you bought?
Just like this,
Yeah.
plastic one, white, in IKEA.
Okay, yeah, fine. So the thing is with a bath is you can't really go wrong with a bath, okay? You know, you can even bath them in the kitchen sink if you need to, as long as it's clean. You just need to have a clean area to do it. And sometimes these are quite useful because again you can do it. Yeah, we got a blow up bath even.
Quite handy for travelling.
So you can go, you can pick this up, you can do it upstairs, you can do it downstairs, whatever. Or some people have got ones that go into the bath, again, little seats. They're all fine. It's whatever suits you in your home. Okay. And some people may not even have a bath to go into, they may only have a shower. So absolutely fine. So you have your bath. And as you're preparing, so you've got your 3 towels, and what you're going to need is lots and lots of cotton wool. So again, if people are buying you things and you're out buying stuff, we'd recommend that you start to buy lots of cotton wool. Pleats are really good because they're easy to pull off what you need. Now, what we recommend for the first 6 weeks of baby's life is actually just use water to wash the baby. Don't need any any of these like Johnson's bath additives and things like that, because they can cause reactions. Baby's skin's very thin.
So no soap?
No soap. We don't recommend. It's up to you. That it's your decision, but we don't recommend any soap or any lotions, anything for the first 6 weeks. Okay. So you're going to have got lots and lots of cotton wool. You're going to have boiled the kettle, cooled it down, and put some cool boiled water into a little container. And then you're going to have that ready as well. You're going to prepare the bath water. So how do you think we're going to prepare the bath water? We're going to put it in hot first or cold first? What do you
Cold
reckon?
then hot.
Cold then hot. Why do you think?
Because then you add the amount of hot water that's going to press the baby.
Yeah.
Oh, what temperature should be?
It's actually, I think it's 37 degrees is the temperature. You can buy some of these things. Or what else do you think you could do?
Use your elbow.
Use your elbow. So if you just do this, and it's just right, because your elbow is thin, like the baby's skin, you can test then to see if that's okay. And you're right with putting the cold in first. It's always good practice to start off with putting the cold in. If you're always doing that, then as they get older, toddlers will, that split second you don't look, they climb in baths, they do things like that. And I have actually seen in A&E a child brought in before who had burnt their legs all the way down where the toddler had climbed in and mum had put the hot water in first. So, really important just to get into that kind of that thinking. And you're right, you can adjust the temperature much easier. So we've prepared the water. This side, because you're going to come over this way. So we've prepared the water. We've got the cool boiled water. We've got the reams of cotton wool, and we've got the towels, and we have the baby. Okay, so do you want to come up now? So there's lots of preparation, as you can see, to start off with. So you've got some of these on your table as well, and you can come around this side. There you go. Thank you very much. So to start off with, to get to the first page, I'm going to get you to take this little baby. They take their clothes off. So if you could do that, please. Take just the top. Leave the nappy on for now, though.
Just the top. Has it got like a zip or something?
Yeah, I think it's got something at the back there. Little Velcro. I will not be judging you on how you want to do it, baby. That's fine. I would be a little bit worried, yeah, a little bit worried if we were to pose them upside down, but that's fine. And I'll put the towel down for you, Betty.
His head's too big.
We haven't made it easy for you, have we?
Did it come with it on? Or is it?
No,
Did you-
it
someone's
does
dressed
come off.
that.
Yeah, we've dressed it. I know, we've been a bit mean, I'm sorry. Usually I do bring my little dolly and hers is easiest to get off, so we are being a little bit mean.
Shall I
We've
take
lost,
one
we've
arm
lost
up?
our dolly
Yeah,
that
that's
we
it. I'll help
normally
you.
use.
How about I help you? It is tight, you're right.
Probably grown out of it.
I think you know what?
Just take the head off, mate, it's fine.
Take the head off, take the outfit, then put the
Half the arms.
Can't see anything.
Baby. There, well,
Let's not put that back on.
And also, the other thing I would say to do is don't bath the baby on your own the first time. Always have somebody with you as well, yeah? Because it'll bound to be, you might have something like this happen where you can't get the clothes off. So yeah, always have at least two, well, definitely the two of you in the home. Thank you. So, all you're going to do now is wrap baby up like this, leaving the head open, okay? So like that, so they're all nice and snug. So, wrap baby up. For me.
I've got fire.
Yeah, a bit like a fajita. Yeah, good point. Excellent. I love that analogy. Yeah, and then you're going to get the cotton wool, and you're going to start off now. All you're going to do is one dip, and then sort of slow dip and squeeze. You're already going to have clean hands as well, so you're going to wash your hands initially. And then start from the inside of the baby's eye. You're going to wipe that way, and then tuck it away. Yeah, and then get another bit. Same thing the other way. Okay, so go on, you have a go. And why do you think we're doing it that way? Why do you think we're going from in to out and not reusing the cotton wool?
Some bacteria.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, that's it. And jump away. Yeah, next one. And then same other eye, out and jump away. That's it. And then you're going to get some more into the water and then just clean all around baby's face like that. You want to get under the ears because they often get milk that kind of dribbles down behind the ears. You want to get behind there. You want to get under the chin as well because they get, you know, all sort of hot and sweaty under the chin. Fantastic. You're doing a great job. Yeah, that's it. Get a bit off. Excellent. So baby's face all nice and clean. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring the bath up, and then how you feel comfortable, you're going to lift baby. Remembering you've always got to support baby's head at all times. And then I'm going to bring the bath up, and however you feel comfortable, whether it be like this, you're just gently going to lean baby over, and then you're going to do this and just clean the baby's head, okay, and hair. And at the same time, remember, the baby's probably thinking, what on earth is going on? So you're talking to her, this is a him, you're talking to him, saying, it's okay darling, it's all going to be okay, you're going to have a lovely bath, it's going to be really nice and you're going to really enjoy it. There you go. So, bath up. Yeah, so you pick him up now, and then just lean him over the water, because you've already checked the water, and just wash the head. You're laughing. That's it, God.
Thank you.
That's it. Perfect. So however you feel comfortable, so remember you're going to support in the head, leaning over, having an arm free to cup and clean the head. That's it. Yeah, that's it, perfect. However you feel. Remember baby might be wriggling around a little bit as well. That's it. Yes, perfect. Well done. Lean him over a little bit and then fill the water and just clean the top of the head. Remember, you don't need to use shampoos. Again, shampoos can cause the head to get really dry because anything that bubbles means it's got soaps in it and things, okay? So, perfect. So, head's nice and clean? Yeah, lovely. Right, so now, I'm going to lay the baby back down onto here and we're going to take the nappy off. So, anyone changed nappies before? Yeah, done them? So
it was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
I can't remember.
Okay, well I'll quickly show you and then you can have a go, yeah? So, nappies. So we've got all this cotton wool here. Again, we do recommend to try and use just water to clean the nappy area. If you've got wipes, you know, some babies are absolutely fine with wipes, but lots of babies do have reactions and you can get quite red from them. So, as much as you can, if you can try and use water, then that would be really good. So you're under the baby's nappy. Oh, chicken korma, absolutely full nappy. So, a little tip is to kind of get the nappy like this, push down so you're wiping a lot of the poo. Don't whip it out and check it over here. A good way is just to then sit the baby on top of the nappy so that you then can get the water and give them a good clean. Sometimes you can squeeze the water over it if it's really, really dirty, and then you just want to start giving it a clean. Yeah, so I'll let you have a little go. I'd hate for you not to have had a little turn at it. There you go. Right, so.
Quick question.
Yes?
I mean, I've got a daughter.
Yeah.
Never changes the boy. What's the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, don't worry, I'm going to come to that. So go on then to do your nappy bit. So, boys and girls, you would obviously clean, you've still got to make sure that they're both really clean. If you've got a little boy, we have a little boy here, you just want to gently pull the foreskin back, don't pull on it too hard, and just gently clean, sort of, again, squeeze the water, clean around the area, remembering to lift up the testicles and underneath, clean all under there, because quite often the poo particularly will get caught under there. So don't be afraid to do that. If you have a little girl, same thing, you've really sometimes got to do a little bit of delving because you want to make sure there's no poo left in anywhere. So you may have to, again, sometimes squeezing the water helps, but you may have to sort of open up a little bit and actually clean inside, making sure that you've got her really clean. Okay, so you've got a little boy, and obviously he may well, and she may well, have a little wee while she's on there. Quite often you open the nappy and you're ducking and diving. You'll give her a little clean. And also quite often they have poo, it's all the way up the back sometimes as well, so it's just making sure that they're really clean before you get them in the bath.
I'm doing alright.
You're doing a fantastic job, isn't he doing well?
Yeah.
You'd be ace at doing that, yes. Excellent. So it's only now that we actually get to the part of bathing. So as you can see, it's quite a lot of preparation and things beforehand. So I'm just going to gently move them over to here.
Shall I move them up?
You can take, well, I could probably leave it for 2 seconds, and I will put this up here, and I'll show you what you can do now. So now is actually bathing. So again, however you feel comfortable, whether you're left or right-handed, you want to pick the baby up, supporting the head, and then just lift them in. And remember, we're talking to the baby. Oh, it's all going to be okay. You're going to have a lovely bath. It's going to be nice and warm. Gently lower them into the water. The water is only going to be about halfway maximum. You don't want it right high up, because otherwise it's just going to slosh over everywhere. Gently put the baby in, talking to them, and then just cupping the water and giving them a little bit of a rub. So however you feel comfortable, either way, doesn't matter. That's it. Well, yeah, perfect. Just put on those heads, so you put on sideways. That's it. So you might want to just sort of, so this hand here, go under
This
the head.
hand here,
That's it, perfect. And then into there. Because you're not going to lay the baby down in the bath, you're going to have them kind of sitting at an angle. So let the sort of feet drop down, and then this hand, clean the baby. So you can just sort of get a bit of water.
Wait, let him go, yeah?
Yeah, that's it. And then sort of
And then
clean.
just wash him.
Yeah, wash them. And remember, this little baby's the same, got lots of little creases in there, so you want to get in the creases, make sure that they're all clean as well. Yeah, so nice and clean.
Excuse me. And after 6 weeks, can we use soap?
If you want to, yeah. But what I would say is, if baby has a reaction, so skin gets very dry or any rash comes up, just stop using it again. Okay. That's fine. The baby's nice and clean?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're going to take him out. We're going to put that way. Pop him into here. He's going to feel quite cold quite quickly. Wrap him up. That's it. Oh, lovely. Yeah, wrap him up.
Oops.
That's okay, George. That's it. And now give him a cuddle.
Give him a cuddle.
Give him a cuddle. That's it. Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's pretty much. Has anyone got any questions about bathing before we move on? No? Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you all so much. You've been really interactive, which is really good. What I want you, if you don't remember everything, because it's a lot of information to try and take on board, and I appreciate that. If you don't go away, but remember these things, okay? Remember those principles of 5 to 5. Talking to your baby, interacting with them, cuddling them, loving them is really important. Also, making sure that you're keeping the communication going, within your relationship as well, really important. And also ask a health professional. So if ever you're not sure about something, that's what we're here for. And finally, if you're okay, and you're okay, then actually baby's probably going to be okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next week is going to be...
Next week is a bit more about safe sleeping, 5 to Thrive, and so choosing and using. So we're talking about choosing and using equipment and things. So we're talking about toys and things like that. So, and then the Children's Centre and what services the Children's Centre offer, which Bumps Baby is one of those. So so we'll talk a bit more about that. So thank you for coming.